Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of albums that turned 50 years old in 2021. This is the show where we're doing throughout the month of February here albums that were released in 1971, turning 50 this year. I'm going to pick one album each day. So my 28 favorites, that's what we're doing. 28 days in the month of February, my 28 favorite releases that turned 50 this year. I'm also going to, each episode, I'm going to list an honorable mention. That is an album from the greater pool. Didn't make my cut of 28 favorites, but I like them quite a bit. So each day you're going to get another favorite of mine, plus an honorable mention. So today we're going to talk about an album that was released towards the end of 1971. So we're looking at November 12th. Okay, released on Charisma Records, produced by a man named John Anthony, talking about the third album from Genesis, Nursery Crime. One of the greats, a staple in the progressive rock community for many, many years. More of kind of like an underground fan favorite band, right? Throughout the 70s, especially during Peter Gabriel's run with the band. He would leave middle of the decade to go on to a solo career. Phil Collins would come from behind the kit to take over the lead vocals. They would start getting more and more popular, and then as the band moved into the 80s, of course, mega stardom for the band, moving away for the most part from their progressive roots. But back here, this is, Trespass, their second album, really hinted at what was to come after a debut album that was more of a pop and folk album. All right, the second album started to see a lot of those progressive rock leanings that the band would really start to dive fully into with this album. All right, so of course this is what many consider the classic lineup of Genesis. Peter Banks on keyboards, Michael Rutherford on bass, Taurus bass pedals, 12-string guitars, Steve Hackett, brand new to the band, on acoustic and electric guitars. Of course, and Phil Collins on drums and backing vocals. Peter Gabriel on the lead vocal slot. Also some tambourine and some flute on occasion. One of my personal favorites from the band. Foxtrot is actually my preference of number one from this band, but this album is not far behind. There's something about Nursery Crime, Foxtrot, Selling England by the Pound, and certainly The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, kind of like the mecca of the Gabriel years. Okay, hard to fault any of those albums. Of course, then even after Gabriel left, you've got Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering, also fine albums. But, for my money, there's something about it's hard to pinpoint. There's something about this album that's just, it's young Genesis still, but it's Genesis really experimenting and really kind of taking that first step into... almost like, again, they experimented with it on Trespass, but it was fully with this album where I think everything started clicking. I mean, from, the opening, the musical box, great little mini epic from the band, and, one of their most endearing songs from the back catalog. Then you've got For Absent Friends, The Return of the Giant Hogweed. I mean, just brilliant stuff. It's kind of heavy, right? It's got some great guitar work from Steve Hackett. Gabriel's vocals are outstanding. Then you got the lovely Seven Stones, all right, those haunting vocals. Then the upbeat, quirky, whimsical Harold the Barrel, all right. Then you got Harlequin, lovely song. And of course, it ends with the epic Fountain of Salmacis, which there's like this kind of mysterious quality about these early Genesis albums that really was unlike anything other than, at the time, their heroes, King Crimson. There weren't many bands making music kind of like this, right? It was kind of theatrical, very mysterious, at times dark, at times upbeat and whimsical, haunting mellotron, Hammond organ, soon to be all sorts of different synthesizers, 12-string guitars, that pastoral nature, jarring electric guitar, okay, those kind of really very British lead vocals, bass pedals, the Rickenbacker bass. I mean, just really different music. Not something you just kind of put on in the background. This is music you had to sit and really listen to. Very intelligent music. Music for people who want something a little bit different. And that's kind of what Genesis did. And I've often said this here on the channel over the years, but I would love to be able to go back in time and witness a live Genesis concert, circa 71, 72, 73 in a small little theater. Which is, with the lights and the costumes and all that kind of stuff. For me, it would be just absolutely splendid. I would just love to do that. So that is my pick for, where are we at, day 4? Okay, we're on day 4 of this series. Going to go all the way to the 28th. So curious to see what you guys are picking for today for one of your favorites from 1971, albums that are turning 50. So my runner-up, pretty cool album. This is actually the debut from these guys. I've long been following this band, and I think this debut is pretty underrated in their catalog. Most people talk about their releases that came a few years later. This band really started to peak in the mid-'70s, and especially to the end of the decade. I'm talking about Nazareth, their self-titled debut. Here they're basically just a heavy blues rock band from Scotland, cranking out some interesting tracks like Witch Doctor Woman. Go, if you haven't heard this album, go listen to Witch Doctor Woman. Really heavy. You got Dear John, Empty Arms, Empty Heart, I Had a Dream, Red Light Lady, Fat Man, very cool, Country Girl, Morning Dew, because everybody had to cover Morning Dew, and The King is Dead, and the reissue has a whole bunch of like B-sides and things like that. But really good, heavy blues rock album. Would kind of foreshadow things to come. Of course, on their second album, they did like a complete about-face and did like mostly acoustic kind of country-tinged songs, which made no sense. But then they rebounded on their third album and everything thereafter throughout the rest of the decade with more kind of real heavy stuff. And great vocals from Dan McCafferty, that gravelly roar, of course. A lot of people imitated, but none could mimic exactly Manny Charlton's guitar. Really great rhythm section. Love Nazareth. Really great band. I've been listening to them for so long, and very underrated debut here. So there you have it. So my pick of the day, Nursery Crime. My honorable mention, Nazareth, self-titled. So in the comments below, you know how it goes. List another one of your favorites from your list of favorite albums that are turning 50 this year from 1971. Pick an honorable mention as well. The honorable mentions, remember, are the ones that we really dig but didn't quite make the cut of our top 28. And we'll continue doing this every day as we work our way towards the end of the month to celebrate 50 years. Okay, 50 years old for a lot of these great albums from 1971. Arguably one of the greatest years for rock releases in the history of music. Arguably, right? So anyway, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tonight, for those of you fans of the Monsters Den, we've got another Monsters Den episode happening tonight with Rich Catino and Chris Allo and myself. We are going to talk about some cool films of where animals attack, right? Everybody loves animals, but it's even cooler when animals attack us humans, right? So there's been a lot of cool horror movies and monster movies over the years where the animals try and get their revenge. So that's coming up tonight. Also on Steve Keeler's Rock Fantasy Files YouTube channel, I will be appearing with Steve and a bunch of other guests for a general discussion about Led Zeppelin. So if you're a Zeppelin fan, go over to Steve's channel, check that out tonight. We got tomorrow morning Martin Popoff coming on the show for Friday morning at the Funhouse with Popoff and Pardo. And tomorrow the topic is all about those bands where a greatest hits set is probably good enough, right? So that's coming up tomorrow morning. Over the weekend, we've got some other special stuff happening. Rich Catino's coming on Sunday morning. A little brunch with Catino and Pardo, right? Sunday brunch. We are going to be giving our top 10 songs of Armored Saint. So that's happening on Sunday. Lots of stuff coming up also. Hoping to get Lynn Versace back on the channel, like if you heard last week on Hudson Valley Squares. Lynn was a little sick last week, so we're hoping Lynn is feeling better and she'll be ready to come on so we can do that show we've been talking about, which is those mellow songs by heavy bands. Some of our favorites, right? So that's coming up too. Hudson Valley Squares coming up live. We got a live show for you. Live where you can tune in, ask questions, and chat live with us, and the topic is going to be all about some of our favorite guest star appearances on songs or albums, right? So that'll be the general discussion, but we'll also be taking some of your questions. So that's happening at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. All right, all sorts of other stuff happening next week. We've got a viewer appreciation day next week. One of our loyal viewers, Jason Morris, and I are going to rank the catalog of power metal veterans Ed Guy. That's happening next Thursday. And all sorts of other stuff happening. More Monsters Den, more albums that turned 50 this year, like I said, every single day. Lots of other stuff in the works. Also, for you Yngwie Malmsteen fans, we've just kind of finalized it. Probably in 2 weeks, Rich Catino, Sidney Taylor, and myself will be giving you our favorite 10 albums from Yngwie Malmsteen. Okay, so that's also coming up over the next 2 weeks. So what else? Ranking the albums of Praying Mantis. That's happening too, also within the next 2 weeks. And lots more ranking albums too. Oh, Grand Magus also probably happening this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Lots more stuff, right? So a lot of things going on, so we'll see you guys later on. Make sure you subscribe. If you like what you see, please consider donating to the channel through our Ko-Fi link in the description below. And also, if you want some cool Sea of Tranquility merchandise, we've got the merch page link down there as well. So everything is much appreciated from you guys, and thanks for all your views. We had a really good month with views on the channel last month, and a lot of new subscribers, which is really good to see. So, and make sure occasionally let those ads run. That helps us too on the channel as well. So thanks for everything, guys, and we'll see you later on. Take care. Bye-bye.